If you feel like the truth is being kept from us, know that you're not alone. I'm Detective Ozma, and my mission is to dig up the evidence behind the mysteries they want to bury. Today, I'm opening a file that didn't begin with a single sighting, or even a single decade. This case stretches across centuries. In a narrow valley in central Norway, strange lights have appeared in the sky for more than 200 years. Witnesses describe glowing orbs drifting silently above the mountains, changing color, hovering in place, and sometimes accelerating away faster than anything expected in the night sky. Locals have watched them for generations. Scientists have measured them with instruments. Cameras have recorded them. And yet, even after decades of investigation, no one can say with certainty what they are. When I opened the Hessdalen file, one detail stood out immediately. This may be one of the only UFO cases in the world where scientists built permanent monitoring stations just to watch the sky. Which raises a question we'll come back to later. If researchers have been studying these lights for decades, why are they still unexplained? Evidence 1, the earliest records. The first documented references to strange lights in the Hessdalen Valley date back to 1811. Historical records describe luminous objects appearing above the valley, glowing forms drifting silently through the night sky. At the time, there were no aircraft, no satellites, and no electrical infrastructure capable of producing such lights. For the people living there, the lights were unsettling but strangely familiar. Through the 19th and early 20th centuries, sightings continued. Stories passed quietly through the local community, lights moving through the valley, appearing without warning and vanishing just as suddenly. By the 1930s and 1940s, these sightings had become part of local folklore. But folklore alone rarely draws the attention of scientists. That would change decades later. Evidence 2, the surge that changed everything. Between Christmas of 1981 and the summer of 1984, the Hessdalen Lights returned with extraordinary intensity. Residents began reporting sightings almost every night. At the peak of activity, observers counted 15 to 20 sightings per week. Bright spheres hovered above the valley. Some glowed white or yellow. Others shifted between red, blue, and green. Some remained motionless for long periods before suddenly accelerating across the sky. Word spread quickly. Tourists arrived hoping to witness the phenomenon. Amateur researchers brought cameras and measuring equipment. Eventually, the events became impossible to ignore. Scientists decided it was time to investigate. Evidence 3, Project Hessdalen. In 1983, researchers and engineers launched what became known as Project Hessdalen. Unlike many UFO investigations driven by speculation, this project aimed to study the phenomenon using scientific instruments. The team deployed cameras, radar systems, magnetometers, and optical sensors throughout the valley. The Norwegian military even provided limited logistical support during the early research period, recognizing that something unusual was occurring. In January and February of 1984, the first major field expedition began. During that single winter campaign, researchers documented 53 separate luminous phenomena. Some appeared visually. Others were detected on radar. Instruments recorded electromagnetic changes and unusual light signatures. But even with all that equipment, investigators still couldn't determine exactly what was producing the lights. Evidence 4, the silence that followed. In the winter of 1985, researchers returned for another observation campaign. They waited through long nights in the valley, instruments running continuously. But something strange happened. The lights didn't appear. The valley that had produced dozens of sightings just months earlier remained completely quiet during the monitoring period. This revealed something investigators still struggle to explain today. The Hessdalen Lights don't appear consistently. They arrive in waves of intense activity, and then disappear for long periods of time. Evidence 5, a scientific puzzle. Interest in the Hessdalen phenomenon continued growing through the 1990s. In 1994, scientists from several countries gathered for the first international conference dedicated to the Hessdalen Lights, comparing research results and discussing possible explanations. Several theories emerged. Some researchers suggested the lights might be a rare plasma phenomenon created by chemical reactions between minerals in the valley floor. Others proposed electrical discharges caused by underground geological activity. In 2004, astrophysicist Massimo Teodorini conducted one of the most detailed scientific surveys ever performed in Hessdalen, analyzing the spectral composition of the lights and environmental conditions. His research detected traces of radon gas and airborne particles that could contribute to unusual atmospheric electrical effects. But even his detailed measurements failed to produce a definitive explanation. Evidence 6, the most spectacular observation. In 2007, one of the clearest observations of the phenomenon was recorded. A bright luminous object was filmed moving across the valley with controlled motion. The object appeared stable, emitting intense light while drifting slowly through the sky. Researchers analyzed the footage and confirmed that the object was not a typical aircraft, meteor, or satellite. For investigators, the recording confirmed something important. The Hessdalen Lights are not simply stories or misidentified stars. They are real, measurable phenomena. And if you've made it this far into the case, you're clearly someone who wants the full picture, the pieces they don't put together for us. So stay close to the investigation. Make sure you're subscribed, because the next files connect in ways most people never realize until it's too late. Now, back to Hessdalen. Evidence 7, watching the sky around the clock. In 1998, researchers installed a permanent monitoring system in the valley called the Hessdalen Automatic Measurement Station, often referred to as the Blue Box. The station operates continuously, capturing images of the sky and recording data using cameras, radar sensors, and geomagnetic instruments. Unlike temporary expeditions, this system allows researchers to observe the valley 24 hours a day. Over time, international universities joined the investigation. In 2016, the University of Würzburg in Germany installed new high-resolution monitoring cameras. Then, in the early 2020s, the investigation entered a new phase. Artificial intelligence. In 2021, a system known as SkyCAM-5 was introduced, capable of automatically detecting unusual aerial movements. In 2024, the system was upgraded with SkyCAM-6, which now monitors the valley continuously and sends anomaly alerts to researchers in Germany. For the first time in the history of the phenomenon, the sky over Hessdalen is being watched not just by humans, but by machines trained to recognize the unexpected. Evidence 8, theories, speculation, and mystery. Whenever unexplained lights appear in the sky, speculation inevitably follows. Over the years, Hessdalen has attracted every possible theory. Some visitors believe the lights are extraterrestrial spacecraft. Others suggest hidden alien bases beneath the mountains. More speculative ideas propose interdimensional portals or exotic particles forming in the atmosphere. But none of these claims have scientific evidence supporting them. Researchers continue focusing on natural explanations, electrical plasma formations, atmospheric chemistry, and geological processes. Even so, the phenomenon refuses to fit neatly into any single theory. Evidence 9, the unresolved case. Today, sightings in Hessdalen still occur, though far less frequently than during the intense surge of the early 1980s. Instead of dozens each week, observers now report roughly 10 to 20 sightings per year. Yet the mystery remains active. Thousands of sightings have been catalogued. Instruments have recorded luminous objects. Spectral analysis has measured unusual emissions of light. And artificial intelligence now scans the valley sky every night. But no explanation has solved the case. As I review the Hessdalen file, two possibilities remain. The first suggests the lights are a rare natural atmospheric phenomenon, something unusual but ultimately explainable through geology, chemistry, and physics. The second possibility is more difficult to dismiss. That the lights represent a phenomenon we still don't fully understand. Perhaps something we've only begun to observe. Because while reviewing the research archives connected to this case, one detail kept appearing in the margins of several reports. A cross-reference. Another file involving luminous objects, aircraft, and radar detections. Different hemisphere and different year. But strangely similar circumstances. December, 1978. Near the coastline of Kaikoura, New Zealand, a cargo aircraft reported glowing objects pacing the plane during flight, while radar operators detected unknown targets in the same area. And by coincidence, a television crew happened to be on board with a camera when the encounter occurred. The incident became known as the Hessdalen Lights. And the more I compare the two files, the more I start to wonder whether these cases are truly isolated, or fragments of a much larger pattern. I think that file deserves a closer look. I'm Detective Ozma, and I'll keep gathering every fragment, every voice, every piece of evidence they try to erase. Many stories get buried, but never forever. If you, or someone you know, has ever witnessed something unexplainable, leave your story in the comments. Or, if you'd rather stay anonymous, send it to the email pinned in the comments. Who knows, maybe the next file I open will be yours.